Hello, 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 YouTube. Welcome back to another session of Real Talk Therapy with your girl, Ebony. Hope you guys having a great day thus far. Everything is going kind of how you wanted it to, and even if it isn't, that you're trying to find some good in what may appear to be bad. Thank you so much for joining us this week on Real Talk Therapy, and we are talking about boundaries this week, and we're taking it back. We're making it elementary this week, and so we're going back to, back to basics. And the reason why we're not titling this week's intervention or this week's conversation as back to the basics is because everybody's basics are different. So you got to get back to basics, how it relates to you. And we'll get into that a little bit, and I told you I'll break some of these cliches down, because if we get back to the basics, it's whatever somebody tells you your basics are. But when you are looking at who you are and developing, where you've come from and developing this new part of yourself, then you'll be able to say what your basics are and what you need to get back to and how you need to flow and operate. So let's get right into it, guys. Today's shirt, y'all know it, olive green, fatigue print, but it does say back to basics, Real Talk Therapy 101. And as we get down to our shoes and bag of choice for today. So today, guys, I'm actually working with and carrying two different bags. So I have my backpack, Coach, of course, on fatigue, flawlessly goes with the print. So out here kind of working remote and mobile and doing some different things today. And then I have my tote. This is for my personal stuff, if I'm running in to get lunch or what have you. Nice little olive green and brown tote. So it's still fatigue colors, just in a different version of it. And if you hadn't already guessed it, let me see, is that working? We do have on our olive greens today. Oh, I think that worked. Cool. We do have on our olive greens today. So, paperbacks, of course. And let's jump right into this thing. So, as an overview, yesterday we talked about being in primary and or elementary school and learning some basic boundaries of what you can and cannot do when you were in elementary school, and how if someone has been assigned to you or tasked to you or you're in their class as your teacher, how those things would roll as far as your safety, why those boundaries and things were put in place, what the reason for those boundaries were, and the importance of you following them, and how you can easily get out of the realm of where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing and what you allow to be done to you by others, whatever the relationship with them may be. And so we looked at how you have a teacher and or a teacher's aide in your class, and those people are designed to help you through those elementary days. And so today, as we continue this conversation, we're going to go on up to middle school. So we know when we're growing up, we go through this thing called growing pains, and growing pains are not only physical, when your body starts changing, it starts to mature. Females, you start developing in areas you hadn't developed in. Fellas, you start growing a little hair in places you hadn't grown it in, whether it's on your chin or your chest. Y'all thought I was going somewhere else with that. But you do grow hair, pubic hair. You're going through puberty. Everything is changing because you're growing. But it causes you some pain. And it could be physical and or emotional. And during that time, you don't realize that you're going through an emotional metamorphosis as much as you realize the change in your physical body. So when it comes to your boundaries, they're a little different in middle school than they were in elementary school. And so my memories of middle school, I went to I. Ellis Johnson Middle School. It is now, I think, in the works of becoming a community center. I'm not real sure. But that was my middle school. And yes, my bestie went to I. Ellis Johnson too. So we went through these growing pains together. And so the difference was some other elementary schools were blended at this middle school. So we ended up making and meeting new people that went to different elementary schools than we did. Some of those people may have gone to Carver Middle School, and some people that went to Carver ended up coming to I. Ellis Johnson and are going to Sycamore Lane Middle School. But nonetheless, once we got into middle school, your classes changed. You're no longer in a class with two teachers. You now have one teacher that's teaching you this one subject, because we all know, back in elementary school, until you got up to the 4th and 5th grade and start learning what changing classes did for you, you stayed with the same set of teachers all day. And they taught you all subjects. So when you got to middle school, now you're having to receive and or receive direction from maybe 4 or 5 different teachers, all in the same school day. So whatever Mr. Henderson had me do in his class, when it was time for me to go to band with Mr. Gallion, those boundaries and those rules were different. The school rule when you're changing class was that everybody needed to walk on the right-hand side. And if you're walking on the right-hand side, that means ongoing students are not running into, students that are going to another place. And so I do remember all the teachers, some office staff, different ones being in the hallway to kind of monitor when the bell rung that you're following that protocol of walking on the right-hand side of the hallway. Of course, you're not running, so you don't hurt yourself, because remember, we're still being taught to keep our hands, feet, and other objects to ourselves. It's just in a different light. You now have a locker where you can go at certain times and exchange your books. So you're given a little bit more responsibility that you didn't have in that elementary phase of setting your boundaries. And so now, you're blended with these kids you didn't know. You are in classes with people that you didn't know, you're not familiar with. And you're starting to find some commonalities in some other kids, or you're starting to make some friendships that may or may not be good for you. We know in every class there was a class clown, and then there was a class, a troublemaker, and you ended up in some situations that you normally wouldn't be in, because that wasn't a part of who you were in that elementary stage. And so now you're walking into who you're going to be, parts of who you're going to become, and now you have to set a new set of boundaries for yourself. Now you have to follow a new set of school rules here, at this particular school. And at Johnson, I had the opportunity to walk to school. I didn't ride the bus. And so, I was trusted, given a little bit more responsibility, that when I left the house at a certain time, I was going to school. And when school got out, I was coming home. But it was also crucial during that time, because I did make some more friendships that are lasting, to this day. But it was based off me being able to determine that just because we're friends, I don't have to do what you like to do. I don't have to dress how you like to dress. I don't have to go where you want to go. We're not going to sit at lunch at a particular table because that's what you want to do. I can just recall being friends with everybody, even kids that other kids didn't want to talk to because they didn't dress a certain way, or, they didn't have what we may have had. But none of that mattered to us. growing up or being in middle school. Sure, there were times where you fell out with your friend or you fell out with other people. I had my first fight in middle school, and still cool, with the person to this day because we were kids. We didn't know anything about being able to agree to disagree. So when you're in this phase of going back to basics, those basic things that worked for you, I made it through middle school without a write-up, without my mama having to be called out there, without getting into trouble. Now, let me rephrase that, without getting caught. Because I did some stuff I wasn't supposed to do, but without getting caught. And it was because I was way more cautious. And the saying, I think all of our parents may have said it, if your friends jumped over the bridge, are you going to jump too? And as a kid, I didn't understand what that meant. But as I got older, I can honestly say, because I'm naturally nosy, if my friends went to the bridge, I went to the bridge too. But I had sense enough to look over. Because, I want to see what y'all jumping, what y'all doing. That was my curiosity. Why everybody over here and where y'all going? And if I looked over on the other side and it wasn't nothing that I wanted to deal with, I would digress and stand back. I wouldn't go. I wouldn't do it. But there are times when my friends went and I jumped over. There were times where I went to the ledge first and some of my friends jumped, behind me. But that was because we didn't know anything, but we knew everything. And that's crazy. You're going through all these different changes. Your mind is changing. Your body is changing. And guys that used to be cool to you are now cute to you. Now you're talking about boyfriend, girlfriend. It's a little prom coming up. And all these different things, were going on in your middle school phase. And you do have, some friends that engage in some things or do some things that you just were not ready to do. But you felt pressured because peer pressure is at its worst when you're going through growing pains. And so, believe it or not, even though those middle school years, and they normally, come between, 11, 12, 13, maybe somewhere in there, of adolescence. But believe it or not, when you're going through those changes back then, you can still be going through changes and growing pains as an adult. You can still be experiencing some of those same pressures as an adult. When it comes to your addiction, you could still be using just because your husband or your boyfriend uses. It's nothing, or your wife or your girlfriend uses, pardon me. You could still be doing things because somebody else did them. You could still be following along or going along to get along because you haven't found the voice yet to say, I'm tired of smoking crack. I don't want to smoke no more. I want to go get some help. I want to get clean. Or if it's your mental health, I'm tired of feeling depressed. I'm tired of not being able to get myself together and maneuver and go get a job or do whatever. I'm tired of laying here and feeling sorry for myself. I'm tired of playing the victim. I want to get up. I want to stop. Because just like in middle school, because you have 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And when you're coming into the 6th grade, it was scary. Because you're no longer top dog at your school. Remember, elementary here in North Carolina went from kindergarten to 5th grade. So 5th graders that are rising 6th graders are coming off a high. They were the upperclassmen in elementary school. But they get to middle school and you're in 6th grade now, you starting all the way over. It's like kindergarten again. So because your mind is going through all these different changes, your body is going through all this stuff that you didn't experience at elementary school, you've now regressed a little bit. You're not as mature as you thought you were over at that elementary school and in 5th grade. You're starting over again. 7th graders, they got it the worst. 7th graders have it the worst because they're in the middle now. They're no longer the little babies at the school, but they're not top 10 upperclassmen in 8th grade yet. So they are so confused. They don't know whether to be babies or try to be grown-ups, which is something they don't know. And in between, everything about them is changing. Then 8th graders, top dogs. Hey, I done went through the 6th and 7th. I know the lay of the land with the school. I know how to kind of get around some stuff. I know how to, say I want to go to the bathroom and get the hall pass and then go meet my friend. And we on the 6th grade hallway. Now I know how to do some stuff that I had no business doing and kind of try to sort of get away with it. Now I'm preparing for the prom, and I am once again big dog on campus. And so anybody that went to school with me can remember and know that I had a jerry curl. Now I can't remember what year I first got that curl, but I had that curl forever. And I went to middle school with a jerry curl in 6th grade. So needless to say, when we got out of school in 6th grade, we came back in 7th grade, your girl had her first perm. Because I didn't want no curl no more. I got over here and I saw people who didn't have a curl. Now in 6th grade, I had some friends, new friends I met, and they had a jerry curl too. We spraying activator and being all juicy and letting our soul glow. But after that 6th grade, I want some straight hair now, Ma. I need a perm or a straightening comb or something. I don't want to go to Miss Olivia and get a curl no more because I was still struggling with who I wanted to be. But I saw something different. I met some people that were different. And now I want to be or have some of the features that this individual has. That curl was the best thing that went on for me then. Because all I had to do was get up and spray and put my little bag on, get ready for school, and go. Okay? But when I wanted to straighten the comb, ears got burned. My mama didn't really know what she was doing. Now I got these ponytails, parts here and there, because I didn't know how to do my hair. So I just went to school, mushrooms were in, and I'm just like, oh my word, at some of the stuff that I look back on now. But when I was in 7th grade, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, you couldn't have told me that I wouldn't, the sugar honey iced tea. When I stepped up into that schoolhouse. I learned how to play my first instrument in middle school, and I learned, I was always, book smart. I always made the grades. I always passed. There was no problems with me academically, but socially, I struggled. I struggled with a lot of different things. And as an adult, going through that puberty, now I'm in what's considered middle age at 46. Now I'm struggling with all of those different things that I struggled with as a 13, 12, 11-year-old. You get your cycle for females, and your body really goes through changes, and it was just a lot of different things that went on during that period of time. But in that adolescence phase, I didn't feel comfortable enough to go and talk to my mom about what was going on with me. To me, my mama was mean when I was in middle school. And not mean like, we didn't go through no abuse or nothing like that. She just would not let us go and do things that we wanted to do. And we understand now it was for our safety. We couldn't go and you could play in your front yard. Those were the boundaries that she set. And if you got outside of that front yard, you bring your tail back in the house. So, I couldn't necessarily go and spend a night with friends in 6th and 7th grade. But by the time I got to 8th grade, one of my really good friends, and we're still friends to this day, her mom became my mom became her mom. She went on summer trips with us. I was able to spend the night, with her. She could spend the night with me. Her big brother became my big brother. My little brothers became her little brothers. And so, I now have this friend that I didn't know or do a whole lot with in elementary, but now we're forming a bond in middle school. And I want you guys to see where we're going to get with this towards the end of the week. And so, we would do things. And her mom was a little more lenient than mine. She got to do a little more stuff that I didn't get to do. So if I wanted to do something, it was like, Mom, can I go spend the night with Mona? And she would call her mom and they would arrange it and we would be able to spend the night. And, I can't even remember half of the stuff that we did that we just thought was everything just to get outside of, the house, because we both grew up with brothers in the house with us. And she has a biological sister that I know very well too. Grew up in the neighborhood with, and it's part of my village. Love her, see her to this day. But I just didn't have those bonds with females, because the closest thing I had to a sister was my little cousin Sherelle, and she was younger than me. So when you're going through puberty, I don't want to play with dolls no more. I don't want to play cook and dress up and make believe with you anymore, because now I'm a little older and I have, little knots that was up here, because it wasn't the girls that I got now. I had these little knots, and, I'm still skinny and still trying to come into, my feminine girly phase. But it was just a transition, and it was different from what I had went through, because it was a different phase of life. And so when we're setting our boundaries, you got to remember, you got to rewrite your rules each phase of life that you go into, because it's going to be different from the phase you just came out of. So coming into middle school out of elementary school was a culture shock. It was a big thing. The school is bigger. You're going to lunch a little earlier again, because you're the little peons. The centers and the extracurriculars were different. I learned my athletic ability then, because everybody just knew I was going to play basketball, because my dad, basketball star, uncles, basketball star, my cousin that I favor a lot, that some of you that know me may know, Kendra, basketball star, my aunt Sheila, basketball star. Y'all give me a ball, and what I'm going to do is stand there. I could shoot, and I could dribble a little bit, but basketball just wasn't it for me. I needed no contact sports. So I was track. I was softball. I was good at running and those type of things. And so those were the sports, that I leaned towards. Softball was, Miss McClellan, my girl. Softball was it for me until I got injured. So we're going to talk about high school, later on. But just learning, the different things about myself, because I never played any Parks and Rec type sports or anything like that, because I was, a homebody. I wanted to be home or around, my family. I didn't necessarily want to go and play sports. Plus, we were raised as Seventh-day Adventists, and you went to church on Saturday, so, you couldn't do anything if it was on a Saturday. And it was just a great experience. But as I'm thinking back on doing these interventions this week, it shows just how grandiose the change was, and just how much each phase of life requires a change in what you will accept, what's acceptable to you, and what boundaries you need to put in place. Being the only girl, I've always had my own room, my own bed. Nobody sleeping with me. I don't want, and so if you spend the night with me, you get a nice little pallet on the floor. And if I spend the night with you, I want the pallet on the floor, because I wasn't accustomed to sharing a space or sharing a bed. And it was just things that you had, grown to be accustomed to and were acceptable in this phase of life. They ended up changing. And so your boundaries change with each phase of life that you go through. And so we went from that first lesson of keeping all hands, feet, and objects to yourself, to getting to middle school. And that same rule applies, only now in a different setting, in a different type of context for you. Because now I'm hanging out, I'm doing things a little different, I'm getting to know, people. I could come outside and leave out the yard a little bit. I was able to grow and sprout and be out there a little bit. And like I said earlier, my mom allowed the village to help her raise us. And it takes a village. But this day and age, you can't even be a village to people, because I don't even know what's going on with our youth today. But wherever I can help, I always try to help. And I knew, I don't know if y'all remember me saying this a couple of sessions back. If I did something that somebody that was a part of my village caught me in the act, I usually got in trouble then. And I know I'm going to get it when I get home. Because by the time I get there, she already know what I did. So you got to go ahead and tell on yourself. And so you start developing and maturing in ways that you didn't when you were in that elementary and primary stage of setting your boundaries. And so now keeping all hands, feet, and other objects to yourself is so different because you know, in middle school, you wanted to, wear your friends' clothes and, do all these different things with your friends. But sometimes that just wasn't the smart thing to do, because if you wore my shirt and when you gave it back to me, it's stretched, it's tore, I'm having this crisis and meltdown, and vice versa. You let me hold something of yours over the weekend, and then I don't bring it back on Monday. Now we not friends no more. But it goes along with where we are now. Believe it or not, when you get into adulthood, you still go through puberty. You still go through changes. You still go through, setting different boundaries because you're different. And so as you change, your boundaries have to change. Now, your morals and your ethics shouldn't change, but the boundaries that you set for yourself should change. And you're more mature enough to respect the boundaries of others at this phase as well. So with that, just know that growing pains, in that middle stage of life which is what's taught, that adolescent stage, it goes through different phases, and later on we'll expound upon what really happens in each phase. But for this week, we just want to encourage you, or I just want to encourage you, as we talk about going back to basics, your basics. Not the basics, not what society sets out, because now your morals and your ethics help you stay within the rules of society and not get into trouble and to do things, that you shouldn't be doing. But your growing, your boundaries, those are yours. And as you change, they have to change, because what went on in elementary school is not going to happen in middle school. In elementary school, the guy that was your friend that you sat Indian style with on the carpet in middle school, now he cute. Now he looking at you like you cute. And now y'all see each other in a different way, but you don't even know how to deal with what you're feeling or where to go and who to talk to. And that's how it is as an adult. We go through stuff. We're looking at stuff different. Now I need somebody to talk to about what's going on in my mind. Now I need somebody to talk to about what's going on in my body and my heart. What's weighing on me, what I'm going through. I need somebody to get in this boat with me and help me figure this thing out. I'm in uncharted waters yet again as an adult, and it happens. And I want you guys to know that it's okay, and you do not have to deal with it or go through it by yourself. So come back tomorrow for our midweek episode. We're back to basics, real talk therapy 101. We're taking it back to, using our phases of life to determine where we are now. Remember, there's nothing new under the sun. Everything that we're going through has been done prior to us getting here. We just have to know what resources are available to us to help us get through. So as always, I want to thank you guys for subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing. Please continue to do so. Remember, you can go to the bio or the description of the channel now. The email is there. The IG page is there. We're going to start working on some shorts, and we're also going to provide you with a mailing address for Real Talk Therapy 101, my actual LLC. And some services that are provided, website, all of that stuff is coming soon. You can still order your shirts. If you have things that you want to send in and you want me to promote on the channel, I'll be happy to do so. If you want to be a guest, please reach out, and like I said, we're going to start having real individuals on here having these conversations with us. But until then, I bid you adieu. Want you to have a great one, and I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Bye-bye now.